After the Wizards, we have the Pacers, who are low-key probably one of my three most fascinating teams of the offseason. Starting the clock, what is your biggest question for the Indiana Pacers?
How much do you want to bet going forward on good health luck? Because if you do want to bet that there's some sort of progression to the mean when it comes to injuries, you actually have a good team in place right now. Because if Myles Turner, Malcolm Brogdon, and TJ Warren, who it's easy to forget about because he hasn't played basketball in roughly 3 decades, are actually there to be paired with Tyrese Halliburton and a lot of the other intriguing role players in a Pacers uniform right now, this is a legitimately good team that could compete for maybe a top half spot in the Eastern Conference.
And they're just adding maybe a top 5 pick to what would be a intriguing core already.
They've all been hurt all the time.
I'm trying to run through. I mean, Halliburton's fine. TJ Warren's the biggie.
Brogdon's going to miss 10 to 15 games at a minimum. Turner's going to miss 10 to 15 games at a minimum. It adds up.
TJ Warren, though, the risk proposition on him, I would assume, is lower because I'm assuming he'll get more than Victor Oladipo did when he had to sign the minimum. At the same time, like, if anyone's giving TJ Warren a lot of money, is it for more than a year?
Probably not.
Yeah. So that is my question for them, though. Are they going to go the gradual rebuild route or do historically what Indiana has done where this tank, and we'll call it the joke going around now because everyone like the ethical tank, because they didn't go the OKC route, even though I think the criticism of OKC is fucking stupid. But if we're going off what they've done in history, they would try to be back in the conversation for the playoffs next season. That being said, the Malcolm Brogdon report from Mark Stein, it's not just like this came from someone random either. This is Mark fucking Stein saying that, and the way he framed it, whereas Indiana has given the indication that they're going to trade Malcolm Brogdon. And the only two conclusions I can draw, because this is a Sacramento situation where you don't have to, there's no Malcolm Brogdon or Tyrese Halliburton. Like, you can have both. You don't need to choose between the two. So if it's not that, it either has to be that you're just so down on Malcolm Brogdon's health and that extension that you just gave him, or are you actually contemplating the more gradual rebuild route, in which case, who else is available? And is TJ Warren just gone at that point in free agency? The bigger question would be, is Myles Turner then still available? Because he's 26. He's at that age where it's...
To me, it's a both or none. If you're trading Brogdon, it means you're also trading Turner because you have to commit to the rebuild in that scenario because you're not going to get back even present day value for Brogdon, given the injury history and the new extension. You're just not. So to me, it's either they're keeping them together or they're shipping off both of them. Probably not in the same deal, definitely in separate deals.
Sorry, Lakers fans. My thing would be, and looking at mocks would be, do they just feel like they're going to end up drafting a point guard? But even like if they go after a Johnny Davis, that's not a point guard. And the first point guard.
Also, this class is bad.
That's what I was going to say. The first point guard to come off the market is going to be Jaden Ivey, which and he's combo guard, whatever. I don't think, like, he probably goes top 4, right? And we don't know if they're going to have a pick there. And then after him, it's Ty Washington, who I don't like. Would you take him at 5 or 6?
No.
So that's why I would agree with you, but that would be the other logic. And then look, there's also Buddy Hield, who I think is still, contract's not spectacular, but just someone who could hit difficult threes at a high clip. Teams should want him.
Agreed.
And so if you're trading Brogdon, my guess would be I still don't know what to feel about Turner if you're trading Brogdon, because Turner's so in between. And you also already traded your other big, but you could also look at it from the perspective of, if Myles Turner wants $25 million a year in his next deal, is he worth that to you when you're not necessarily on the immediate track? And when, look, unless you're a megastar center, like, teams aren't technically paying you that type of money. The center is I know he spaces the floor and is a lockdown rim protector. He's in like that fringe star territory that makes it so
feels
difficult.
Like the idea of Myles Turner is still superior to the actual Myles Turner a lot of the time, if only because of availability.
If you were them then, and you are doing the rebuild, and this is the thing that's been going around, are you doing the expiring contract of Westbrook for Brogdon, Hield, 2 picks and 2 swaps? And the first swap wouldn't be exercised until 2026. The first pick itself doesn't convey till 2027. That's created.
I would still very much not go that route.
There's the whole conversation about front office security. The picks are just so far off into the distance. If you were making, the one way I could see it's arguable is one, if Kevin Pritchard is just so concerned about job security, he goes and tells Herb Simon, like, look, we're going to need to like 26, 27 to see what happens. So let me see this through. Maybe it's easier to spin if you are making subsequent deals where if you're getting immediate draft equity and prospects for Turner, that you're okay. But even 2026, and knowing that the Lakers could technically luck into another star somehow, I probably wouldn't do it either. But that's been the scenario that I think has been just floated the most since the Lakers season ended.
Yeah, I can't get the idea of both or none out of my head here.
Do you think do you have, if you had to guess, or one, what would you do? Two, what do you think they do?
I would ride this out because I still believe in the core, but I don't think they're going to, if only because of the reporting that we're seeing and from who's reporting it. Because if there's no if Brogdon hasn't asked out and that's still the leading rumor right now, that's one of those, there's enough smoke that there's definitely fire situations.
I'm with you on every front, except I still don't have a stance on the Turner situation anymore, because I could very much see them being, look, he's 26, we'll pay him, he'll stay here, we can always move him later. One question that might answer that, if they jump in to like the top three of the lot, like if they're in Chet Holmgren or Paolo or even Jabari Smith territory, does that make it easier? Because in theory, you could pair Turner with any one of them, probably.
You absolutely could.
But I do think if you end up with one of those three players, maybe it makes it more likely that Turner is available.